In 2019, 7 News was part of a historic move by the USDA to ban all experiments on cats. It came after White Coat Waste Project, a DC-based taxpayers watchdog group, and I-Team investigator Scott Taylor exposed the killing of thousands of kittens at a lab in Maryland. Scott's here now with new exclusive information that reveals plans were recently in place to start the deadly research again on kittens. Scott?
That's correct, Scott. Now, this is the research grant proposal from a UC Davis associate professor that shows he was going to start later this year killing kittens after experimenting on them. 48 hours after White Coat Waste Project asked for all of his research papers, 7 News learned the doctor changed his mind and removed the kittens from his research. Meet Delilah and Petite, the first 2 cats adopted out of a Beltsville, Maryland lab in 2019, who found a forever home with Anthony Bellotti. The USDA shut down experiments at that lab involving kittens after Bellotti's White Coat Waste Project, and 7 News discovered the facility had killed nearly 3,000 kittens over 36 years.
Delilah and Petite were 2 of the breeding moms who were forced to become incubators, and their kittens were abused and experimented and killed. And for the last 5 years, they were my pets. They've been my pets and part of my family.
Bellotti's efforts led to the USDA banning all kitten experiments.
5 years ago, the greatest moment of my life was leading the campaign.
Now, 5 years later, after the historic move by the USDA, Bellotti got a tip the same type of research was about to start up again, this time at the University of California, Davis, funded by the National Institute of Health.
And we were stunned when we found out that NIH was about to waste another $400,000 to basically repeat the same experiments all over again at Davis.
Earlier this year, after receiving a tip, Bellotti's White Coat submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to both UC Davis and NIH. It revealed UC Davis Associate Professor Dr. Haron Sage received more than $400,000 in grant money from NIH to fund more experiments on kittens. UC Davis has its own cat colony on campus that supplies kittens to staff for research. Sage was expected to start up the research again later this year after documents revealed he killed 10 kittens in experiments at UC Davis in 2021. Within 48 hours after White Coat's public document request, Sage informed NIH he was changing the scope of his research to not include cats. White Coat, not the only one trying to ban kitten experiments. U.S. Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina tells 7 News her new bipartisan bill called the PAW Act, if passed, will cut funding at NIH to all testing on cats and dogs.
What reaction did you have when you heard that UC Davis and NIH tried to kickstart the cat and kitten experiments again?
Well, it's disgusting. I mean, I have a really hard time just reading about the kinds of experiments that they're doing on animals. And what's worse is that a lot of the test results don't translate to humans because our biology is so different, and it's really unnecessary. And if you're a dog lover, a cat mom or dad, you know how precious these creatures are.
Dr. Sage and NIH didn't respond to our on-camera interview requests, but UC Davis and NIH did confirm the doctor's decision to no longer use cats, which came only 2 days after White Coat requested all of the doctor's research.
48 hours after we submitted that crucial FOIA investigation, they changed the plan, they canceled it, and in effect, spared the lives of 10 more kittens.
Now, this is really important. This is a research paper published 5 years ago by NIH that shows mice can be used instead of kittens. Just last year, new research revealed kittens no longer need to be used at all. Scientists can grow cells in a lab to do all this type of research. In a historic move, 7 News just learned scheduled cat experiments conducted inside the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs will no longer take place. Research has been halted, including implanting experimental medical devices in 7 cats' backs and legs. White Coat Waste Project, a DC-based taxpayers watchdog group, has been pushing to end these types of animal experiments for years.
This is a monumental moment because this marks the complete end of dog and cat testing at the VA. This is the first federal agency that has completely eliminated dog and cat testing, and now we're hoping that we can get other agencies in Congress to follow suit and do it elsewhere.
The news comes after White Coat and 7 News in May exposed planned cat experiments in California at UC Davis and funded by NIH. Those experiments have also been halted. The new cat research at the VA was approved in 2022, set to begin this year at the Louis Stokes Cleveland VA Medical Center in Cleveland, Ohio. U.S. Representative Nicole Maliotakis of New York, co-chair of the Congressional Animal Protection Caucus, pushed to end the VA experiments.
I think taxpayers would be very upset to know that their money is being used not just on unnecessary experiments, but on inhumane ones that really torture these poor innocent animals.
Last year, Congresswoman Dina Titus, along with Representative Brian Mast, wrote to the VA and discovered it was planning on spending $50,000 of your tax dollars on cat experiments.
Now the clock has moved on and there's new technology, there's bipartisan support, there's more public knowledge about the issue. So we're starting to see some progress made.
In another historic move, Congress has enacted legislation to eliminate all tests on cats, dogs, and primates at the VA by 2026. Congressman Ken Calvert, a senior member of the House Appropriations Committee, helped make that happen, and many in Congress support alternative testing, including using microchips that mimic human organs.
So there's a number of federal agencies that continue to do this. And so we need to make sure that every agency uses these alternative methods to protect animals and, as I said earlier, to protect the taxpayer.
As recently as April, the cat experiment was listed on the VA's animal research website under current research. White Coat noticed the project was suddenly removed from the VA website, and 7 News started asking questions. The VA just told 7 News there is no feline testing happening at this facility or any other. This practice is now coming to an end.
It's really a win-win for everybody, from animals to regular Americans to scientists, ending animal testing, ending this wasteful animal testing.
None of this is anything new for White Coat Waste Project. 2 years ago, they stopped dog testing at the VA for good. For the I-Team, Scott Taylor, 7 News.
Earlier today, some Labor Day travelers at Dulles Airport were met with recordings of screaming monkeys inside a cargo crate. It was part of a protest by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA. They were spotlighting Ethiopia Airlines and its practice of taking shipments of monkeys to the U.S. to be used for experimentation.
And investigative reporter Scott Taylor has been reporting on this issue for more than a year now. He is joining us live. Scott, did anyone react when they saw all of this? I can imagine maybe seeing this going through the airport.
Yeah, they did. A big reaction from the airline, airport staff, and passengers who asked questions and pulled out their cell phone and captured it all on video. You're listening to pre-recorded screams of monkeys placed inside a shipping cargo container that PETA is taking inside Dulles Airport to the ticket counter of Ethiopian Airlines. The animal rights group is demanding Ethiopian Airlines stop its practice of allowing companies to fly monkeys into the U.S., which are then transported to research labs like Charles Rivers Labs in Frederick, Maryland, for experiments.
We needed to make it real, and the crate represents what the monkeys endure for more than 30 hours when they are in the cargo holds of airplanes. They are screaming, they are in pain, they have been taken from their families, they're in anguish.
The 7 News I-Team broke the story last year of 1,000 monkeys flown from Cambodia into the U.S. through Dulles. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department placed a hold on the entry of the monkeys, which continues today because investigators can't determine if the monkeys were brought in illegally. PETA wants the monkeys to be placed at Born Free USA, a primate sanctuary in Texas, But the monkeys are still being held at Charles River Labs, including some in Frederick, Maryland. Charles River Labs tells 7 News, while discussions with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service are ongoing, we are continuing to care for the Cambodian-sourced non-human primates. In 2022, the U.S. Department of Justice indicted 8 people in Cambodia in connection to the shipments of possible illegal monkeys. Only one was ever tried in a U.S. court and was found not guilty. Ethiopian Airlines has been cited by the USDA multiple times, including in July of last year in Atlanta, when it was transporting 336 monkeys without specific feeding and watering instructions attached to the monkeys' enclosure for their next 24 hours of travel. Also, in January 2023, for shipping 584 monkeys into the U.S. without mandatory health certificates through its intermediate handler. It had no records of any health certificates when the monkeys arrived at Dulles Airport. This staff member with Ethiopian Airlines wasn't happy with the screaming monkeys. Can you identify yourself?
Talk to the M1, please.
No, I'm talking to you.
I'm not.
Are you with the airlines?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm the Ethiopian Airlines, but
oh, you are with the airlines. Can you tell me why you guys are still transporting monkeys?
It's not allowed to do here, please.
A major concern in shipping monkeys is tracking whether they're carrying one of several pathogens that can harm humans.
The people who are handling the crates, they are exposed. They are at the front line of where the viruses can spill over into human beings.
Ethiopian Airlines answer. In the past, it says it complies with all international rules and transports monkeys under legal permits. I reached out to them today. So far, no response. Now, several airlines, including AELF Airlines, are no longer transporting monkeys. They stopped after PETA started protesting and after our multiple investigations. For the I-Team, Scott Taylor, 7 News.
His I-Team has been a leader in the nation of exposing the large number of animals used in federal labs for unnecessary experiments.
On Capitol Hill today, new research showing Uncle Sam could eliminate all animal research a lot sooner than previously expected. Investigator Scott Taylor joining us here in studio live with all those new numbers. Scott?
That's right. Marymount University has put together this research that shows the federal government could stop using dogs in its experiments by 2036. Beagles rescued and adopted out of animal research labs hit Capitol Hill Wednesday morning as new data is revealing that the federal government is moving closer to eliminating the use of animals in experiments.
It's very exciting, and it's also exciting that there's a lot of legislation that's been introduced that can actually help expedite that process.
A letter arriving at the U.S. Government Accountability Office penned by U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus and U.S. Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis asks the GAO to review all policies related to taxpayer-funded research on dogs and cats.
It's just unnecessary, costly animal testing that is antiquated and is outdated and shouldn't happen anymore in the United States of America.
The letter cites 2 recent I-Team investigations. Cat experiments stopped at the VA and deadly kitten experiments halted at UC Davis, funded by NIH. White Coat Waste Project, a DC-based taxpayers watchdog group, believes the new Trump administration's plans to create the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, could aid in eliminating unnecessary animal experiments.
There's been a major focus on waste, fraud, abuse in the federal government, and there's no better place to start than cutting $20 billion in wasteful spending to torture puppies, cats, and other animals in experiments that are cruel, incredibly expensive, and actually aren't improving human health.
We didn't forget about your cat lovers out there. Marymount University's research shows the federal government should phase out cat experiments a year earlier by 2035. For the I-Team, Scott Taylor, 7 News.